Every year, people vanish without a trace, leaving behind only questions. What happened to them? Did they disappear willingly, or was something darker at play? Today, we explore 5 cases of individuals who mysteriously vanished, and to this day, no one knows where they are. These stories are not just strange, they're chilling. From bizarre disappearances in broad daylight to the unexplained vanishing of people in isolated places, these mysteries continue to haunt those who search for answers. Join us as we dive deep into the unknown and uncover the haunting tales of people who disappeared and may never be found. Case number 1: The Disappearance of Lars Mittank. Lars Mittank, a young German, travels to Bulgaria for a vacation in the summer of 2014. But just a few days after his arrival at the resort, something inexplicable happens. This is the story of one of the most mysterious disappearances of our time. After a small altercation with a local man at a bar, Lars finds himself in a conflict with hotel security. But this is just the beginning. On July 7th, he visits a doctor who prescribes him medication for stress and anxiety. From this moment, Lars' behavior becomes strange. On July 8th, Lars goes to the airport in Bulgaria to catch his flight back to Germany. But after leaving the terminal and talking to people, something strange happens. He avoids security and starts running, as if he's being chased. This security camera footage is the last known image of Lars. He misses his flight, and instead, he leaves the airport and disappears into the woods. No one has seen him since. The case of Lars Mittank remains unsolved. The reasons for his behavior and disappearance are still unclear, and the mystery continues to haunt investigators. The only traces left are online, where fans and theorists discuss different hypotheses, from mental health issues to abduction theories. Despite the efforts of the police, Lars remains missing. The mystery of his disappearance continues to burn unanswered. What happened to Lars Mittank? Case number 2: The Vanishing of Brandon Swanson. Brandon Swanson was a 19-year-old college student from Minnesota. On May 14, 2008, he was driving home after celebrating with friends. But what was supposed to be a short trip turned into a mystery that has haunted everyone involved. At around 2 a.m., Brandon called his parents, saying he had accidentally driven his car into a ditch on a country road. He told them he was unhurt but needed help. His parents immediately drove out to find him. Brandon's father called him back, and the two tried to coordinate their locations. But Brandon seemed confused. He kept describing his surroundings, yet they were unable to pinpoint his exact position. At one point, Brandon shouted, "Oh my God," and the line went dead. The phone call ended abruptly. His parents, now frantic, rushed to the area where he had last been. But when they arrived, Brandon was nowhere to be found. There was no trace of his car, and no sign of him in the surrounding area. Searches followed, but nothing was found. No footprints, no signs of struggle, just complete silence. Weeks went by with no answers. Despite extensive efforts, Brandon was never seen again. Brandon Swanson's disappearance remains one of the most baffling in modern history. Theories range from an accident to something more sinister, but the truth remains elusive. To this day, the case remains unsolved. What happened to Brandon Swanson that night? Is there more to his disappearance than we'll ever know? Case number 3: The Mysterious Disappearance of Maura Murray. On February 9, 2004, Maura Murray, a 21-year-old college student, disappeared without a trace. What started as a simple car accident in the middle of nowhere quickly turned into one of the most perplexing missing person cases in history. Maura had been driving her car along a remote road in New Hampshire when she crashed into a snowbank. Witnesses reported seeing her standing outside the car, but when they stopped to offer help, she declined, telling them she was fine. Her car was left abandoned, but Maura was nowhere to be found. When police arrived at the scene, they found no signs of foul play, just the vehicle, the keys inside, and a few personal belongings left behind. Maura's disappearance has baffled authorities for years. Her family and friends were left with more questions than answers. Why would she leave her car in the middle of nowhere? Where could she have gone? Before the incident, Maura had been under a lot of stress. She had a turbulent relationship, personal issues, and even a recent altercation with her university. Could this have been the breaking point? Or was there something darker at play? Over the years, countless theories have emerged, from voluntary disappearance to abduction, and even more bizarre explanations. Despite extensive searches and numerous investigations, Maura Murray was never found. The case remains open, and the truth is still unknown. What happened to Maura Murray on that cold winter night? Is she still out there, or has something more sinister happened? Case number 4, the bizarre case of Amelia Earhart. Amelia Earhart, one of the most famous pioneers in aviation history, vanished in 1937 under circumstances that remain one of the greatest mysteries of the 20th century. Her disappearance during an attempted round-the-world flight sparked worldwide intrigue and has never been fully explained. On July 2, 1937, Earhart and her navigator, Fred Noonan, were flying over the Pacific Ocean when they disappeared. They were nearing their final destination, Howland Island, a small speck of land in the vast ocean. The last transmission from Earhart was a desperate call for help, saying they were low on fuel and unable to find the island. Despite a massive search, no trace of the plane, Earhart, or Noonan was ever found. It was as if they had simply vanished into thin air. Over the years, countless theories have been proposed, from mechanical failure to a crash landing on a remote island, and even the possibility of being captured by the Japanese military. The official explanation is that Earhart and Noonan ran out of fuel and crashed into the ocean, but no wreckage was ever located. Other theories suggest they landed somewhere unknown, and their disappearance was part of a cover-up. Some believe Earhart may have survived for a time, stranded on an uninhabited island. In 1940, bones were discovered on an island in the Pacific, but it remains uncertain whether they belonged to Amelia Earhart. Despite decades of research and expeditions, Amelia Earhart's fate is still a mystery. What really happened to her and Fred Noonan on that fateful day? Was it simply an aviation disaster, or did something more mysterious unfold? Case number 5, the unexplained vanishing of the Sodder children. On Christmas Eve, 1945, a fire broke out in the Sodder family home in West Virginia. By the time the fire was extinguished, the house was reduced to ashes. But when the fire department arrived, they made an astonishing discovery: 5 of the 10 Sodder children were missing, vanished without a trace. The fire was fierce, but there were no bodies found in the wreckage. The parents, George and Jenny Sodder, were certain their children hadn't perished in the flames. They were convinced that the fire was set deliberately, and that their children had been abducted. Despite reports of strange things happening that night, such as unexplained phone calls and an odd truck seen near the house earlier, no evidence ever surfaced to explain the children's disappearance. Local authorities declared the case closed, but the Sodders weren't convinced. In the years following the fire, George and Jenny launched their own investigation, uncovering strange leads. They received letters and calls claiming to have seen the children alive in various locations. A few years later, a mysterious photograph arrived, showing 5 young people who closely resembled the missing Sodder children. The family continued to search for answers, even offering a reward for any information leading to the discovery of the children. But despite their efforts, no one ever found out what happened to the Sodder children. Were they kidnapped? Did they survive the fire and go into hiding? The mystery remains unsolved. The unexplained vanishing of the Sodder children has haunted their family for decades. No one knows the truth, and the question still lingers: what happened to those 5 children that Christmas night? From disappearances that defy explanation to theories that continue to evolve, the stories of those who vanished without a trace remain as haunting as ever. These mysteries may never have clear answers, but they continue to intrigue and puzzle those who seek the truth. What happened to them? Are they still out there, or were they lost forever? If you have any thoughts or theories about these disappearances, share them in the comments below. Who knows, your insight might shed new light on these chilling cases. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and never stop asking questions.